Hey y'all, hey. Okay, so I'm taking a study break and it has been on my mind maybe for like the past 2 to 3 days to create this video. I really want to help my girlies with fibroids, okay? As y'all know, I have been diagnosed with fibroids. I've known that I've had them now probably since 2023, and I went through a phase where I was actually able to shrink my uterus with what I was doing from 1,200 centimeters down to 850 centimeters. Unfortunately, I hit one of my Great Depressions and I started back eating like crazy. I stopped working out. I kind of just stopped taking care of myself, and the fibroids came back, and my uterus actually got bigger. So, it is a process to shrink the fibroids naturally and to shrink your uterus, but I promise you it can be done. Okay. So I have multiple products that I personally use daily in order to help me to lose the weight, shrink the fibroids, shrink my uterus, shrink my belly. Um, and it takes work. You have to be willing to put in the work. So I got my pajamas on. Lord Jesus, I done almost dropped my phone. Sorry, y'all. Because I'm not editing this. Y'all gonna get it how you get it, okay? So I got my pajamas on. As y'all can see, like, this is my nightly routine, okay? This is what I take at night, okay? I've already eaten. I've had dinner. I'm making sure I'm not hungry because, you know, you want to make sure that you are well nourished before you start taking your vitamins. You know, some vitamins can make you sick. Some can make you feel, you know what I'm saying, queasy. They may not digest right, especially if you did not eat an adequate meal before you take them. I personally like to take these particular vitamins for fibroids at night. Um, because it's just easier to digest, and I'm going straight to bed afterwards, and I feel like they actually work better while I'm in a, you know, calm rested state. So again, this is my nightly routine, so I'm going to create another video for y'all to see some different tonics that I use for fibroids as well, and I tend to take that in the morning. So I'll show y'all that another day. But here's what I personally take at night, okay? So first things first, y'all, vitamin A. Vitamin A is really key to helping your fibroids because it attacks like the heavy bleeding. Like if you do experience heavy bleeding in between your cycles or just heavy bleeding from the fibroids, it will, you know, minimize it or even stop it. And also too, vitamin A addresses the actual size of the fibroids. So vitamin A will decrease bleeding, and it will also decrease the fibroid size. Okay, so this is number one. Number two is dim. Don't ask me how to say it, but I can tell y'all it's dim, okay? And this is the kind that I personally use with black pepper extracts, okay? Love these, okay? And what this does, and I kind of wrote down what each of them do so it can kind of like help me too. Dim addresses estrogen dominance, okay? So you all know that if you have fibroids, you know, you have a buildup of excess estrogen in the body, and that is what is causing all of the systems to kind of just go crazy. And so what dim does, it helps to break down estrogen dominance, and it helps to, you know, get rid of the estrogen, and it helps it to pump to the liver so that the liver can get rid of it. So dim estrogen dominance, because you know, if you really been doing your own research, you know that fibroids comes from estrogen dominance, and that's the real demon that you got to attack in order to eventually get rid of the fibroids. Okay, another one, another fave, D3 with K2, okay? Vitamin D3 and K2. Now, here's what your doctors do not tell you. That if you start taking D3, okay, you know, if you start building your system to have D3, you can prevent fibroids from happening with D3 and K2 by 30 to 40%. Did y'all know that? Because I didn't. My doctors never told me that. My OBGYN actually never told me. All of the research when it comes to this, I'm doing on my own. So D3 and K2 together, great for the bloodstream, great for flushing out the liver. Um, this actually helps to flush the liver out, because sometimes what happens is the fibroids get so big that it'll press on your liver, and it'll press on you know what I'm saying, your bladder. It'll press on every organ that you need in order to secrete, you know, urine and feces, right? And so K2 and D3 is also going to help shrink the fibroids, so that, you know, you can make a bowel movement, so that you can urinate, you know, whether you're overly urinating or not urinating at all. You know what I'm saying? D3 and K2 will address that. Again, it also helps to reduce the size of fibroids. D3 can help prevent fibroids from happening if you start taking D3 and K2 early enough, right? Of course, it's another agent to help reduce the size of fibroids, but also too for my girlies who are having pelvic pain. D3 and K2 definitely helps. When I tell y'all, like, I usually used to wake up with pelvic pain, but once I start incorporating this, and I've been taking this now for about maybe 2 to 3 months, and like the pain is pretty much non-existent for me. And I used to have pelvic pain, like sometimes it would be very faint at times, like when I'm working out, when I used to work out, like, you know what I'm saying, like my stomach and the fibroids and my uterus would swell up, because, you know, when you're working out, you are, you know what I'm saying, breaking the body down so that you can build it up and make it healthy. Well, sometimes with certain workouts, you know, it causes pelvic pain. But now with me taking this, y'all, it is pretty much non-existent, okay? And then last but not least, a part of this nightly routine is calcium D glucarate. Calcium D glucarate, okay? This is also another good one. And what this one does, I'm able to now make some really good bowel movements. Like my diet was always pretty good, but it's just like I wasn't making bowel movements the way that, you know, I should be. Thank God, you know what I'm saying? Like my bladder started to get back in order, but I was having problems with using the bathroom. And now since I've, you know what I'm saying, incorporated this to help me out, calcium D glucarate is good for cleansing the liver, okay? So again, that liver is clean so that, you know, you can go to the bathroom normally. Like fibroids can literally shut down, you know, your whole entire system to, you know what I'm saying, like get things moving. So it cleans the liver. Again, another one that flushes out estrogen. It helps stool to pass, and it also detoxes the body from excess estrogen. So that is my nightly routine. I'm gonna go through it one more time, okay? DIM, calcium D glucarate, and y'all, if I butcher these words, forgive me, okay? I'm just trying to help the other girlies out. Vitamin D3 with K2 and vitamin A, okay? And again, this is my nightly routine. Another thing that I started doing, spring water. For the girlies who have fibroids, you need to try to incorporate the cleanest water possible. We know that a lot of pollutants, you know what I'm saying, are put in our waters, especially like your purified water, your distilled water. Don't really go for that. Go for the spring water. I promise you, you're also gonna see your fibroids shrink as well with incorporating spring water into your regimen. And you need, if you're going to be on a regimen like this, you definitely need to drink more water. You should have water just flowing in your diet, right? Already, if you're experiencing fibroids, but the quality of water also matters and can help shrink the fibroids. So get some spring water in your life as well, and make sure you take your vitamins with your spring water. Drink your spring water throughout the day. You know, it's a little bit more expensive, but like your body is a temple and it's worth, you know, investing in. So getting quality water matters. Making sure you're eating your cruciferous vegetables, right? So your broccoli, your cauliflower, eating your greens like your kale, eating those fresh salads, intaking plenty of fruit, minimizing like the red meat, and minimizing, you know, like beef and stuff. I'm not saying that you can't have it, because trust and believe, especially when you on your cycle or you're coming off your cycle, you may crave it. So for me personally, I have a burger once a month, and if I do have to have like lamb chops, it's every blue moon, but that's not something that I normally do. I tend to stick to fish and chicken if I just absolutely want some meat. um and I make sure that, you know, it's antibiotic free and that it is wild caught fish and not farm raised. All of those additives, you know what I'm saying, tend to also increase the size of fibroids. Making sure y'all are doing red light therapy. If you can get on a VibraShake machine, you know what I'm saying? Like Planet Fitness, for my girlies that work out at Planet Fitness and got a black card, go get into Total Body Enhancement. Because what that VibraShake does, it helps to drain your lymphatic system. And fibroids directly affects the lymphatic system, especially the spots that are drained in the belly. So making sure like your lymph nodes are working. Definitely walking, getting in that cardio. It's subjective to whether you should lift weights or not. Me personally, I never stopped lifting weights. I also suggest, if you can afford it, getting your chiropractic adjustments, get you a stretch coach. Like, take this journey of getting rid of fibroids seriously, because it can affect your fertility. You know, it can affect your sex life. It can affect your self-esteem. So like, you got to take the time to pour into yourself and invest in yourself, so that you do not have to walk around with these fibroids. Ladies, we don't have to do it. I know 80% of women are experiencing fibroids now as we speak, but we have to kind of just do our own research and be our own doctors and find medical doctors and, you know, people who practice functional medicine who can support us. Because, baby, fibroids are no joke. So please don't take it lightly. Clean up your diet, drink your spring water, get active. Get active with changing your diet daily. And also incorporate those good vitamins, those good tonics, and just think clean, y'all. Think clean. And get serious about your healing journey. So, to my ladies who do have fibroids, do not give up. Continue to push through. Continue to, you know, work on your regimen. And let's shrink these fibroids, y'all. These fibroids cannot get the best of us. Anyway, I hope this nightly routine helps. Feel free to incorporate. If you have any questions, you know what I'm saying, questions in the comments, please ask them away, and let's start this conversation about fibroids and healing. All right, love you guys. Bye.